a super biased AD Carries rendition of the patch notes for League of Legends Patch 8.2, where in this patch, minions who have historically rushed to defend their allies against any champions who hit them with a basic attack, as well as also blocked you from escaping an enemy with their own pathfinding despite them being your minions, as well as sometimes chasing the enemy off into the jungle on previous occasions. Well, at least now they're not going to merely watch on as Pantheon chucks spears or Cassiopeia sinks Twin Fanes into you spell after spell. Now minions understand what a targeted spell is, and they will respond to them as if they were basic attacks drawing aggro. This is a pretty big change. Probably won't stop Pantheon from being ridiculously powerful though top lane. Echo. The boy who shattered some people's fun of playing League of Legends forever. Some people wish they could rewind time to a point where this champion didn't exist. Well, that's too bad and he's here to stay. So they're upping his bonus attack speed at level 1. Echo's pretty close to being able to jungle efficiently, and the small bump should help him get back on the path without pushing his solo laning out of line. His base stats for his bonus attack speed at level 1 is going up from 0% to 10%, and as a biased AD carry, I hear attack speed and I think, this guy can be a bot laner now. If Yasuo can make it happen, and sometimes people play Yasuo into Echo because they play similarly, then obviously Echo can go Lichbane full crit and be a bot laner as well. Evelynn. Right now, playing against this champion as an AD carry is appropriate, given her name is an Eve to your N in the form of an L. Evelynn's burst damage is just too high right now, so Whiplash's damage is going down both when it's unempowered and empowered. The unempowered damage is going down from 4% of the target's maximum health with 2.5% per 100 ability power to only 3% of the target's maximum health and 1.5% per 100 ability power. Empowered, it's going down from 6% of the target's maximum health and 3.5% per 100 ability power to only 4% of the target's maximum health to 2.5% per 100 ability power. Obligatory Shadow Evelynn is better than Tango Evelynn. Message here. Ezreal. Right now, Kleptomancy gives Ezreal some of everything. Mana pots, gold, mana pots, elixirs, mana pots, a 401k, health, dental, and that mansion you were about to win in your own dream. As well as mana pots, because maybe there was a reason that item was removed from the game. But as such, what they're going to do is lower the base damage on his Mystic Shot at earlier levels, and it'll break even by level 9. So at least that way he can stop poking you so much as if you were bubble wrap. JINX. JINX is actually getting a meaningful buff, which kind of rids me of the excuse if I don't make it to the elo I want to of my favorite champion not being buffed. However, JINX is not getting buffed because she's weak or her win rate is low, it's more so we just got out of a hypercarry meta, and JINX still wasn't good enough to be in that hypercarry meta. So she needs something a little bit extra to give at least high elo and pro players something to do with her if they get a lead on her. So they're reverting the 5.10 nerf to her minigun's attack speed and essentially giving that back. On top of that, she is getting a little bit of a nerf to compensate. Her base damage is going down from 66 to 61, but her attack damage growth is going up from 2.41 to 2.7. On top of that, with her passive, Get Excited's attack speed no longer caps, but attack speed can now be exceeded when she is excited. Now my champion, which I like to play, might actually be good, if not permaban, so I still might not be able to actually enjoy League of Legends. Kha'Zix. Ironically, probably the only bug in League of Legends that should work. But right now he works a little bit too well. His passive is supposed to be for doing damage to isolated targets, but right now it's doing a lot of damage to non-isolated targets, and as such as an AD carry player, when you try to defend yourself by grouping up, he's still doing to you like you would if you were caught out, and that's just not right. So right now his passive is getting some power trimmed off of it. It's going down from 0.4 bonus attack damage to 0.2 bonus attack damage, but they're putting power back a little bit in his Q as compensation. The ratio is going up from 1.1 bonus attack damage to 1.2 bonus attack damage. Live your dreams as being the xenomorph that never was, Kha'Zix. Malzahar. Right now, the only thing more consistent than Malzahar's burst combo is the burst of racism you'll get when you log into VR chat. Seriously, you're Yoda, stop it. But Kimpo on their stream is actually pretty chill, so feel free to check them out. Speaking of Malzahar's burst combo though, Call of the Void is getting its ratio tuned down from 0.8 ability power to 0.65 ability power. Nethergraph's cooldown is also increasing from 120, 180 to 140, 110, and 80 seconds. Buy a QSS against this champion, by the way. It's 1300 gold that will negate a lot of gold he'll get from just murdering you over and over if you don't buy this item. Seriously, buy QSS if you're an AD carry. Nunu really puts the in Nunu right now. Nunu just isn't very good. The only thing Nunu has going for him is that if you put a pa in front of it, he's pa-Nunu. a pretty decent AP mid Gragas main. So he's getting some buffs. On his Q Consume, Well-Fed now additionally grants 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and plus 5 per 100% ability power magic damage on basic attacks. His W, Blood Boil, now additionally increases ability power by 40%. Max increase 40, 60, 80, 100, and 120 on both targets. Remember that meta where you could play, let's say, JINX AD carry, a group with a Nunu with a Nazir as well as shove down towers? That might be coming back. So as a biased AD carry, I'm actually kind of okay with, once again, Exodia might be possibly being on the rise. Ornn. Right now, Ornn's W can buffer CC and makes it a bit harder to deal with him. Kind of like Tristana, but unlike Tristana, Ornn's getting nerfed about it quite immediately. On top of that, his R is getting its cooldown increase from 130, 170 to 140, 120, and 100 seconds to give his lane opponents and junglers a bit more ways to deal with him, especially in the laning phase, and a bit more wider windows to deal with him overall. Pantheon. His W will no longer block or is consumed by siege minion attacks in relation to being able to draw minion aggro from targeted spells. Good riddance. Riot made Sona a slave to the rhythm when they hit her back in preseason when the rune overhauls when she was powerful, and they went a little bit too far. So making the cross decrease on her Q, from 60, 65, 70, 75, and 80 mana to 50, 55, 60, 65, and 70 mana. Putting the Sona back in Son of a Gun takes some free harass as I'm close to you and I press Q. Vayne. It's funny that Vayne has an ability called Tumble, because like the Tumbler Batmobile, apparently when they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're actually very terrible at it. Like seriously, Batman, why call it the Tumbler Batmobile? It takes one tumble and it's ruining out the franchise forever. Similarly, when Vayne is actually doing her job as an AD carry or even being the best AD carry, it's bad for the game and they have to nerf her immediately. Furthermore, she's just too strong right now. Fleet Footwork is giving her an easier path to the late game, and when she gets there, she's just rolling in stats. Rather than hit her laning phase and put most of the pressure on her opposing bot laner, they're reducing the power in her late game. Her attack speed growth is going down from 4% to 3.3%, and her final hour bonus AD is going down from 30, 50, and 70 to 20, 30, and 40. On one hand, as a biased AD carry, this kind of bothers me a little bit. On the other hand, I'd like the chance to play League of Legends, and Vayne it does not make that possible. Runic Echoes is getting a bit of a buff. Most mage junglers struggle with mana. Form swappers are the main exception, so we're looking at giving those weaker mage junglers more consistency. However, what's that to stop form swappers from actually being even stronger? Hold on to Arachnophobia, you might be about to be seeing more Elise. Sightstone is now being removed from the game, and now instead, when you upgrade Frostfang, Nomad's Medallion, and Targon's Brace, that's how you will now get Sightstone. So as AD carry players, we should stop yelling at our supports for not buying this item, because this change is to allow them to build more flexibly than they already do. In other words, still rushing Death Cap because they got autofill to the role and don't really want to play. Isn't that right, support elements plus Lux? Old support items without wards will remain on Twisted Treeline. Now if someone could give me some insight about what Twisted Treeline is, that'd be helpful. Hexakill doesn't seem to exist anymore, instead we're getting One for All, so I actually have lost memory of what that mode even is. Aftershock's base damage is a bit too high, and it's letting champions like Alistar and Leona run wild in early duels against marksmen. Having one mastery be so good for both durability and damage is warping the interactions between tanks and squishier champions. So we're shifting the item profile to be less about damage and more about durability. While we're at it, we're shifting the resistances gained from percentage to flat so that divers can get in on the fun too. If you believe tanks should be doing as much damage as squishy targets without the trade-off of being squishy, you might also hate Santa Claus. That's wrong. This item is being changed so that the damage is going from 40 to 140 at level 1 to level 18 to 10 to 120 between level 1 and 18. The damage is going from 40 to 140 between levels 1 and level 18 to only 10 and 120 at levels 1 and level 18. The health scaling damage is going from 3.5% of the maximum health to only 3% of the maximum health. There is a new AD ratio of 0.15 bonus attack damage and a new ability power ratio of 0.1 ability power, and the flat resistances is going from 20 to 70 to 120 at levels 1 through 18, but removed is percent resistances amp, no longer increases resistances by 30%. Good riddance. If you want to be damaged, build damage. Grasp of the Undying is getting his range healing and damage reduction from 50% to 40%, and the range permanent health proc from 2 to 3%. So now when I use it on Lucian and pretend I'm at All-Stars in a Lucian mirror match, I can pretend if I squint really hard enough that I'm playing against Bjergsen. Notice me. Guardian within the Resolve tree is also getting some changes because it's overperforming but is also underappreciated. Glacial Augment is underperforming, and there's only one champion who performs the best with it, and that's apparently Aurelion Sol. Obviously, they haven't heard about JINX under the radar with it. So it too is getting buffed, and as a bias-aided carry, that might mean my favorite champion literally is about to be permabanned. So I won't be able to actually play this game after all anyways, just when I thought I was about to like it again. Right, please. Meanwhile, Kleptomancy is actually getting some nerfs. That's why some champions that use it right now aren't getting harder nerfs. The gold value of Pilfered items is decreased. The drop rate significantly decreases in the first 15 minutes, so in laning phase, you might have a chance to deal with a champion without them popping mana pots all the time. On top of that, after 15 minutes, the drop rate significantly decreases for melee, but also significantly decreases for range, and the sale values of the items you get from Kleptomancy is 20% lower. And the precision tree, several things are changing. Triumph, gold on kills going down from 25 gold to 20. Coup de Grace, the damage amp is going down from 9% to 7%. And Last Stand's maximum damage amp is going down from 12% to 11%. They don't want to see us 80 carries win, but we'll still win anyway. In the domination tree, the zombie war duration is down at early levels. Instead of being at 180 seconds the whole time, it'll now be from 60 to 180 seconds between levels 1 and 18, because that was ridiculous. However, the vision radius on the Ghost Portal is going up from 350 to 450. As mentioned earlier, there are several changes to targeted spells, so they can now draw minion aggro, so you don't just keep getting beaten by Cassiopeia's Twin Fang over and over and your minions sit there and watch like, oh hey, I guess you're in trouble, huh? There are some changes to health bar readability, as well as the scoreboard now being able to show you the timer on your allies' ultimate cooldowns, as well as what skin they have, just in case you wanted to know that. On top of that, you can now invite any player to your party instead of restricting players from being invited from the lobby screen. There will now be a notification next to the queue button indicating if every player can queue for that mode. Read more about this change in our party's dev blog. In Champion Select, you can now see what skins your allies are picking. So now when your Thresh goes Blood Moon, instead of playing an 80 carry you're actually good on, you'll play Blood Moon Callista, so that way when you go bot and get destroyed, you can at least look good while getting destroyed, because that's how fashion works. Minion items are now shown in their inventory. Not that that's anything new, but now you can actually see what minions exactly do. Combine this with some bug fixes in general, as well as a new skin for Gragas, the Arctic Ops Gragas skin, as well as combine this with some new splash arts for Misfortune, and I think I speak for everybody when I say Misfortune has new splash arts now. And you have yourself a completed patch notes for patch 8.2 of League of Legends, as told by a bias-aided carry who believes every change in the game is out to get them. So thank you so much for watching this video. Feel free to support it as well. And that's all for this video. I don't know which video will be next, because life's been quite a mess. So until next time, take care from the Fire Godai FS, and thank you for watching.